More books come out every day now in this time and age in publishing than a few years ago were coming out every month. There are more books coming out every day that even 5 years ago were coming out in a month. It's just enormous, the amount of books coming out. And librarians and bookstores and the people in the industry whom used to be called gatekeepers, hopefully we don't use that term too much anymore, but the people who have to decide whether or not your book goes on a shelf or whether or not your book is going to go to the top of a list online, they have to have a way to start to shift out the grain from, the wheat from the chaff. And so if they're going to get started, a terrific way for them to move things to the absolutely yes pile is if there's a really good independent autonomous third-party review. If a newspaper or a magazine or a very well-regarded book blogger has said some very nice things about your book, and it was an independent, unsolicited, autonomous review, then the librarians and the booksellers are going to take that very seriously. There are names out there that mean a lot to our industry. Kirkus, Forward, Publishers Weekly, New York Times, LA Times, Chicago. I mean, the newspapers, the big ones. There's some wonderful bloggers out there. There's some terrific reviewers. Even on Amazon, if you can get a really good review from Grady Harp, you're in great shape. And that makes a difference to the people who have to sift through thousands. There are thousands of books that come out every day now. Thousands. Let's give them a hand. Go out and get the reviews. Now, when I say that the reviews were unsolicited, I don't mean that you don't offer your book for review. Unsolicited means I don't want you ever to give a free copy of your book and then tell the reviewer that if they write you a good review, they get a little something, something. That's not okay. You put together a professional kit, you offer it in the timeline that they require. Some reviewers need your book months before your pub date. If you've missed that window, no big deal. There are hundreds of other reviewers who don't require that. But put a solid kit together electronically and in print, read the review submission guidelines, submit, and wait and see what happens. You'll be surprised. I know a lot of people and a lot of websites say we do not review self-published books, but it's been my experience that tons of reviewers have, even the ones who say they don't review self-published books, absolutely do review self-published books. What they don't review is self-published books that look self-published. If you can publish a book properly and make it look like, and have it read and be a professionally published book, you have a very good chance of getting into any of the review venues.
When authors are trying to get book reviews, whether alongside the work of their publicist or on their own, it's really great for them to just stay diligent with it. Again, to be patient, because those things do take time to especially read through a book and to put a review together. But the biggest thing really is, to be diligent about it, to not think people are too small. If a media person gets word about your book, then their first thing is probably they're going to Google it. They're going to Google your name, they're going to Google the book title and see what's already out there about this book. So if you're wanting to get to those bigger names, the bigger reviewers that are more well-known nationwide, it's great for them to start out with the small people. And not necessarily to say that they're unimportant, but maybe they are more on a local or regional level. They're somebody, maybe a blogger in their hometown, maybe someone who writes for the local paper or a friend who has an in there. So you should never discount the smaller people, the people in your own backyard, especially if you're wanting to get to a larger audience.
Reviews are the lifeblood for any book, and an ARC allows you to get in touch with your fans so that they can read your work and preview it. In exchange, you give them a free copy of the book and they leave you an honest review, not a glowing review. If they don't like it, they can freely say that, but that's what the ARC program is. It's meant to draw in readers and get them to leave reviews, which in turn gets more visibility on the books. The way I'm executing it, I have a mailing list that I've slowly built up. A link to it is in the back of my book, as well as on my website. You can go there, you get on the mailing list. So I've reached out to my subscribers to gauge interest, as well as posting on Facebook. And so you can reach me either on my website or Facebook, and you can get in that program.
It used to be back in the day, there's the main trade publications, which, most readers aren't very aware of, but authors and publishers are, and that includes things like Kirkus Reviews, Publishers Weekly. They get submitted so many books. They're very selective about what books they review, even from big publishers. So I actually kind of say that even if you get a review and it's not a great review, the fact that they reviewed you is kind of a big deal, because that means your book stood out in some way to them. But that said, the traditional routes, aren't really as persuasive for getting a lot of readers now. And that's where things like book bloggers, YouTube reviewers come in and are really, really important. Amazon reviews, people really make decisions about books they buy based on things like Goodreads, things online. So for my book, for example, we did a blog tour where we had a bunch of bloggers that really specialize and love the genre I write in come in and do a whole bunch of reviews and posts for the week leading up to publication. And those often will reach a lot more readers than something like a review in Kirkus, because average readers aren't really looking at Kirkus or reading it, for example. But it all matters. In terms of good reviews, you obviously have to realize you have no control once your book goes out in the world, and it's not going to be for everyone. No book is for everybody. So, with the bad reviews, I always try to remember this is one reader, this is just one person's opinion, and try to focus on the positives. And if you feel really bad, just remember even Harry Potter has 1-star reviews on Goodreads.
I did all the advanced legwork on finding out who are the Muppet nerds, who are the Muppet podcasts, where do we send the advanced copies to these guys to get them in the hands of the people that run the fan pages. And I did the same thing with George Lucas. I found Coffee with Kenobi and Skywalking and all, the Raiders guys and everything that I could find that was George Lucas, Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow. There's a big Willow group out there. Trying to get the books in the hands of those people in advance to people that run Disney pages, since Disney owns Star Wars now, getting it in their hands. So that was sort of the responsibility I took on, was to get in touch with the people, doing the podcasts and who were the fans and did the fan sites. I'm actually really more nervous, I think, about the fan angle than I am from the reviewers. The reviewers can tell, can say nice things about how well written it is and so on. The Star Wars fans are the ones that'll kill you. I mean, in my first draft, I think I had spelled Sarlacc wrong, and thank God my copy editor caught that. But that's the kind of stuff they'll cream you for. So I'm actually a little more nervous about it hitting the hands of the Star Wars fans than I was the reviewers.
What you want to pay attention to, too, is who do you like to read? Which reviewers are you interested in reading, and would you want to reach out to them? And then you want to look into the niche reviewers, too. So if it's science fiction or it's memoir, it's nonfiction, there's going to be reviewers that tend to review books in those niches as well. It's not as big a list as when you're talking about general media or mainstream media. And then there's book reviewers on radio, just as there are in print. Getting the attention of the book reviewer is sending them a galley or sending them the book. You certainly want to send them the book, and you want to send them information about your book and what differentiates it, and make sure that you've got all the right information so that they know that you're professional, that you have your ISBN number and you have the date of publication and all of that.